Let's go over a few important things that you need to know in order to succeed in your term 1 tests or exams. Now, firstly, it goes without saying that if the year has gotten off to a very difficult start and you've been struggling academically or otherwise, I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to freak out. This is only term 1. So if things don't go well this term, still have the rest of the terms where you can improve, refocus, and get into the study mindset and become the academic weapon that I know you want to become. I don't want you to think that, oh my word, if I failed something in term 1, I'm going to fail the year. Doesn't work that way. You still have time to pick it up and to improve. So how can you make the best use of the short time that you have to maximize studying and doing well in your term 1 exam? The first thing is you're going to have to work smart, not necessarily hard. Okay, now let me explain what I mean. Generally, when schools write term 1 exams or term 1 tests, there's a lot of other stuff going on as well. A lot of schools continue with lessons like normal. A lot of schools continue with extracurricular activities and sport like normal. Teachers give you homework like normal. And so when you're writing tests, it's almost impossible to try and find time to fit in all these things. So what must you do? If time is not on your side and you're revising for a test, you need to focus on the big main topics that are going to feature in your test and really work hard on those. So for example, if you know you're writing a test, you know you're doing a test on maths, so it's algebra, maybe it's exponents, maybe it's equations, find out what topic from those requires the most of your attention because it occupies the most of the exam, or it's the hardest topic that you struggle with the most. And then you're going to have to focus your attention on that topic. Now, I'm not saying you must neglect everything else, but you need to be clever with how you split your time. You're going to have to be clever with making up time to study and revise for your exams or your tests. So, for example, if you have school and you know you're writing a test soon and you have soccer practice, whatever it is, after school, and you have to wait for 30 minutes, instead of waiting there, relaxing, chatting to your friends, take that time, that 30 minutes, that 40 minutes, whatever it is, even if it's 20 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, to sit, focus, and learn something new. So whether it is a paragraph, whether it is a small key concept, whether it is a physics or chemistry definition, or maybe one subsection of your maths, you have to take the time to do it. Again, if time is really not on your side and you need to maximize your revision time, I would always recommend switching to past papers to study. So if you know you're writing on maybe life sciences, a certain subtopic, go over your notes, and then say, okay, I'm going to practice past papers. Use the past papers to help you figure out how they ask the question, what they require from you, and what information you need to provide. Remember, when you're writing your term 1 test or exam, that is only going to focus on the work that you've done so far. So when you go to past papers or resources to study, look for those specific topics that you'll be writing on. Now, what a lot of students do wrong, or they don't know, is they completely skip over June papers and November papers when revising. And the reason why you can use June papers and November papers when revising is because obviously the topics, subtopics that you learned in term 1 feature in your June papers, and they feature in November or end of the year papers. So if you go to a November paper and you scroll through the paper, and let's say you're writing grade 10 maths or grade 11 maths and you're writing on a lot of algebra, you will find algebra in the June papers and in the November papers. So please don't make the mistake of only Googling March past papers to study from. You are losing out on so many past papers that you could use to help you. So many past papers that your teachers may be using as inspiration to set their papers. So many missed opportunities. Don't do it. So if you go to testpapers.co.za, this is one of the websites that I recommend learners use to help revise and study for past papers. And you click on your grade, and then you scroll, for example, to maths, and you click on mathematics, you'll see all of these past papers. Now, what a lot of students do wrong in term 1 is they say, okay, it's term 1, I'm writing an exam or a test in March, so I'm only going to practice the March tests. So they'll click on this one or this one, and they'll ignore everything else. So because it says June, September, November, they ignore it. They don't practice it. That's not a very good way of practicing or revising, because what I did, for example, is I just chose a random November one, Eastern Cape November exam, and I clicked on it, and I chose one of the papers, Maths Paper 1. Yes, sure, in term 1, you will encounter stuff that is not relevant to you. So maybe something like this, which you haven't learned about yet in grade 11. But you learned about all of your algebra in term 1. So this is in the November paper. But all of this, you will be tested on now in term 1. So you can go to the November paper, skip the stuff that you don't need, and focus on this. And the memo for this part is there. So you can really increase the number of study resources and past papers if you broaden your horizons and you don't just use March or term 1 papers. If your teachers are still giving you homework and expect you to complete homework and you have to study, don't see the homework as a negative thing. See it as an opportunity to study. So if your maths teacher gives you some math sums, just say, okay, this is fine. This forms part of my study period for maths. Fully focus and lock in on those sums that are for homework, but they're also helping you study for maths. While you're doing the sums, make mind maps for that specific math section. Make summary notes. Use the homework as an opportunity to study. And remember to keep talking to your teachers. So ask them for tips, ask them for advice. If you are struggling and you say, ma'am, I really don't know what to prioritize. I have all these extramurals, I have homework, I have to study for your test. Please, can you help me? Your teacher might give you valuable insights on how they feel you should study for their test. Or they might even suggest really good resources for you to use to revise. So use your teachers, speak to them. If you want to spend time with your peers, your friends, and use it as constructive revision time, do group studies. So choose someone that you work well with and study with them in a group. Teach each other, recite the work to each other, practice past papers and help each other mark your past papers. You will be surprised by how much you learn when you are working together with someone else. The information just sticks in your brain. And last but not least, don't panic. Like I said, if things don't go too well in term 1, you still have the rest of the year to pick it up. I will be there every step of the way to help you. Let me know in the comments below what other videos you'd like to see from me, and I wish you all the best with your exams. Bye everyone.